Canon R5C has been a solid beacon to my RED Komodo for the past 6 months, so I'm going to show you how I rig this camera out for a few different scenarios. The types of shoots I get day to day vary drastically. One day I'll be with a small crew, the next day it'll be a run and gun type job. It does help sometimes to have a camera that can, dare I say it, do it all. I'll often choose the R5C over the Komodo because there's just certain things that camera can do that the Komodo can't. And although the quality might not match the RED, it's just better suited for certain jobs. I'm going to show you 4 different setups that I use with this camera, all tailored towards different kind of shooting scenarios, so hopefully you can find something that suits you. All links are down below. So let's quickly skim over the most stripped back rig that I go for. All it requires is the body and the Canon battery grip. Obviously you need to whack a lens and an ND filter on there and then you're good to go. And it tends to work for people who need to shoot as much stills as they do video. The second variation is a bit more video focused. The battery grip comes off and I attach a Smallrig half gauge to the camera. You can get the full cage, but I find the half cage does everything I need to do, but it's obviously less weight. I then attach a Smallrig Nato rail on top of the cage. Now it's quite important that you get the one with the rod clamp, which I'll explain later on in the video. I then popped a Nitze mini stinger handle on there that works perfectly. It's got plenty of mounting options and a lock-in cold shoe at the front. This is basically a mini version of the handle that I use on my RED Komodo that I fell in love with ever since I got it, and I've never changed it. I generally use fast zoom lenses with this setup, and my go-to is the Canon RF 24-70, which is pretty much one of the best all-round zoom lenses you can get for hybrid shooting for this camera. I then pop on the Peter McKinnon 2:5 Mist variable ND filter by PolarPro to finish it off. PolarPro are hands down my favorite for filters. They don't degrade your footage. There's no horrible color shifts like you tend to get in a lot of other brands, and there's little nice features on there like hard stops and haptic feedback, which are really nice. And now this is kind of where the magic happens. It's probably the variation of the rig that I use the most. As you're probably aware, you need the camera connected to external power through the USB-C port to allow it to shoot at 8K 60. This third variation basically solves that problem in the most compact way that I could find. I got a Smallrig ARCA Swiss quick release plate that attaches sideways onto another Smallrig base plate with rod clamps, and then the Smallrig cage on the camera locks into that nice and securely. I then got a Smallrig V-Lock battery plate with this fun 90-degree hinge mechanism. You'll notice I've attached the battery plate sideways onto the hinge of the rig, which basically then attaches to the rod clamps on the base plate like this. The hinge allows you to tuck away or take out the screen as easy as that. And then you have the screen out like that. I then connect the camera to the battery using this 50cm C-to-C cable that tucks nicely between the camera and the battery plate. So this battery will basically get you a full day of shooting, and the weight of it does actually balance the rig quite nicely when you're using the top handle. The cage also has an angled cold shoe on the left hand side, so I like to pop my audio bits on like the RØDE Wireless Go or the RØDE Video NTG shotgun mic. This is a tried and tested rig for people who like the run and gun style of shooting, or freelancers who just want to get the most out of this camera. My fourth and final variation of this rig, which is the most I will ever rig this camera out to be, is when I want to throw a cine lens on there, a matte box, and on the odd occasion where I'll want a wireless follow focus system. My absolute favorite lenses that I'm using at the moment are the Cooke SP3s, which I recently swapped out for my DZO Vespids. The Vespids are still probably one of my favorite budget cine lenses, but I was looking to upgrade my set, and then out of nowhere, Cooke just released these monsters. The image is absolutely stunning, as you'd expect from a brand like Cooke. They fit full frame sensors and are so compact for what they are. I then just use an 82mm step-up ring to sit my PolarPro Recon matte box on there, which is super lightweight and gives me the option to throw a variable ND or mist filter in a really compact system without the need for additional rods. I generally quite like to keep the underside of the lens free for when I'm manually focusing myself with my hands. Okay. This is where the rod clamp on the Nato rail comes into it. If I then need a wireless follow focus, I pop my Nucleus Nano 2 onto the rod clamp on top, so then I can pull focus without being near the camera, or if it's in a really awkward position or whatever. The only caveat to this though is that you need a battery with 2 USB-C ports, but I believe the Pro version of the Smallrig battery I have has this too, so I'll pop a link to both of these in the description. So then this is the beauty of having the rod clamp on the top, is that if you need to take the camera off the base plate for whatever reason, you're still able to have a rod attached to the camera for any lens accessories. Smart. So that's generally the 4 different variations of the rig that I use. I started out with the first and then sort of grew into the 4th. The last one will probably be overkill for a lot of people, and the first one will probably not be enough. So hopefully you can find a sweet spot somewhere in the middle that works for you. I have some lens tests coming up where I'll be shooting with the Cooke SB3s on this exact rig. So if that's of interest to you, then please consider subscribing. It does really help the channel and allows me to keep making these videos.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.